morning, everyone. My name's Shona. I'm the UK and Ireland brand manager for Ableton. The aim of the day is just to give you some insight into the industry, the career choices available to you, and also to give you some creative insight as well into the workflows and processes. We asked you for feedback on what you'd like to see today, so basically today is a result of that. So hopefully everything's going to be useful and nice and informative for you.
I started playing guitar when I was like about 10 years old. I wanted to be the best guitarist in the world. I loved Hendrix, I loved all that kind of stuff. By the time I got to about 15, I sort of realised that sort of medium for me had been sort of pushed. You know, I was never going to be able to push that any further. Then I got into production, you know, so started making music in my bedroom and stuff like that, because suddenly I saw the sort of potential of production. You know, that was sort of much more limitless than playing an instrument. You know, obviously when you're building shows for people, you know, it's not just music that happens on a stage. It's a visual side as well. You know, it's a light show. It's how, you know, how people move on stage. You know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of accurately describes the role of at least what I understand as a creative director. Is you're kind of right at the top of everything and kind of overseeing the whole process.
I started producing, I want to say 2005.
Wow.
So I started off doing grime music. I was just solely making beats for ages, and I was like, I never make pop music. It's like, you know, that was kind of the mentality you had as a grime producer back in the day. But eventually, like, I mean, nobody really vocaled my beats, so that was kind of annoying. So I just started to vocal my own stuff. Kind of tested myself with singing, because I wasn't really a singer. I didn't really like to sing. But again, just because no one else was doing it on my own songs, I thought, you know, why not?
There's a lot of interesting rhythms in your melodies, I find. Like, there's always lots of like almost triplety things, or things sound a little bit loose or out of time. Do you draw things without the grid, or do you play them in unquantized?
Everything I play, I play it because it just feels better, you know? No, so I will like bounce like drafts, versions and stuff, and I will play them out of my actual laptop speakers, my phone. I play them in my car. Like, I go really in, I do, just to make sure that, or just to see what, you know, what I could change, or how some, you know, like a normal person would hear it.
Isotonic was originally just myself doing Max programming, specifically the Ableton Live side of Max for Live, as opposed to effects and that kind of thing. So it's really trying to get under the hood of Ableton and make it do what I wanted it to do. I was kind of at the start of Live's movement into DJing.
Do you want to just explain a little bit briefly about exactly what Max is, what Max for Live is, and what it kind of means to you?
I started the business having had no programming experience whatsoever. In reality, Max gives you all those formulas that if you're used to, I want to get this end result, and you bring them together and patch them in a graphical way.
Most of my time is being spent writing stock music and library music, and that doesn't have a specific brief, so I can upload that in different platforms and different websites, marketplaces, and directors or video editors license that music for their projects. So that's a big part of, you know, my freelancing career and my revenue in a way. And that's how I have found most of the clients that need bespoke music for agencies, films, documentaries. They usually want something similar to that library music track. So that's how I started building relationships with agencies and creative directors.
Would you say that the main way you've managed to get your kind of music spread around is word of mouth, and just from having kind of hopped onto some projects, or are there certain things you do to promote yourself outside of that?
The stock music stuff, the library stuff, you know, you don't really have to market it, because people go in these platforms and they browse and they check the popular tracks and they check the genres and all of that. But yeah, all the bespoke stuff, actually, once I had 2 or 3 creative directors working with me, who again found me through these platforms, all of the rest was just personal connections. And that's what I've seen, you know, over the years, that you can start with something that doesn't need these connections, like again, library music or just creating an album. and then pitching it to other people. But once you have one or two people who have these connections, everything, you know, becomes way, way easier.
So I have Cass with me today, who's from Wired Masters, and he's been responsible for mastering a lot of really cool tunes. A lot of artists that you'll probably know as well, from the likes of Pendulum to Camel Fat, Loud Luxury, all of these lot up here, which is really, really cool. So please give a round of applause for Cass from Wired Masters.
Thank you. We could see the plugins were getting really, really good, and records were getting louder, and we suddenly realised actually if you can do stuff in the box, especially with things like limiting, you can get a much, much better result. So we kind of started, I think actually what happened, we were doing the EQing in the analog domain, and I'd throw it all into Ableton and do the limiting with plugins. And then I think one day we just thought, God, we'll just do it all in the box. That's got to be the way to go, especially with dance music. If you're doing a jazz album or a soul album, then maybe it's better to keep it in the analog domain, do some analog limiting. But with dance music, I think you're getting a much better result just doing it all in the box.